Part 2 of this video series on the Elands Pass covers the lower half of the pass and contains 4 of the hairpin bends. If you intend driving this pass, it's important to watch Part 1 first, which contains the Google Earth orientation clips as well as other important safety and tourism information. At the 2.5 kilometer point, the road enters a side ravine where a very tight left-hand bend of 110 degrees has to be negotiated. There's a narrow concreted drift over the stream with a drop side marked by 3 tall chevron boards. The dip and exit after this little bridge is steep, and you'll have a brief period where you'll not be able to see the road ahead. Just drive slowly and keep your steering straight ahead. The chevron boards will still be visible and are placed there so that you'll have a visual fix of where the left-hand side of the road is. The road now curves around the contour of the mountain for the next 400 meters, heading into the west-southwest. This section has 5 gentle bends with the views remaining on the left-hand side. There are hundreds of magnificent tall aloes on both sides of the road, and if the light is just right, this makes for a wonderful photo composition. The second of the 5 hairpins makes its appearance at the 3 kilometer mark. This hairpin is concreted, so if you're in a 4-wheel drive vehicle, you'll need to disengage the center diff, otherwise the vehicle might experience axle wind-up, which is bad for the differentials. But remember to re-engage it once you're through the corner. The direction now changes into the east-southeast for the next 100 meters as the road drops down towards the third hairpin. The third hairpin, which is a right-hander, has a slightly wider radius and is gravel-surfaced but still requires a low speed of around 10 km per hour to prevent a wheel going over the edge. It makes its appearance at the 3,1 km mark, and once safely through this hairpin, the heading settles back into the west-southwest for the next 400 meters, descending consistently. From this point, the drop-offs gradually become less severe, and the buildings in the valley start taking on a less toy-like appearance as altitude is lost. This part of the Elands Pass descends for most of its length down a long ridge which is formed by 2 kloofs. The more easterly one is formed by the stream that you just crossed earlier via the concrete drift and the 3 tall chevron boards, whilst the more westerly kloof is known as Lemoen Kloof. The fourth hairpin appears at the 3.6 kilometer point and bends to the left once again. As in the previous left-handed hairpin, this takes the direction back into the east-southeast for the final time. This leg is fairly long and lasts for 400 meters, and the road can be seen at a lower level, a sure indicator that you've almost reached the bottom of the pass. Should you experience a mechanical problem on this pass, it's possible to get assistance from the game ranger, whose house is at the foot of the pass to the left of the main gates. We strongly recommend tire deflation when driving this pass, at least down to 1.4 bar or lower. This will provide greatly improved traction as well as a more comfortable ride, and an additional benefit is that it will reduce the risk of getting a puncture. The fifth and final hairpin is reached at the 3.9 kilometer mark and is the easiest of the 5 in terms of turning circle, and is actually much more of a horseshoe bend than a hairpin. With the terrain having substantially leveled off, the last 700 meters of the pass is relatively easy. The vegetation becomes denser as more and more trees appear amongst the thousands of aloes. Regardless of where you intend staying in Dihel, it's important to book your accommodation and campsites well in advance. The campsites at Cape Nature are attractively laid out in the riverine bush and provide good shade with spotless ablutions. All of the cottages and campsites are named after the original clovers. This is only the start of the valley known as Dihel, and there is more accommodation further to the west, with the likes of Fonteinplaas after 5.5 kilometers, and the last farm in the west, also offering cottages, is known as Boerplaas, which is 8 kilometers further west after crossing the Gamka River. A signboard is passed at the 4.4 kilometer point as the road loses the last bit of altitude via an easy S-bend. The valley has lots of flora and fauna on offer, and amongst others you're likely to see grey rebuck, klipspringer, kudu, baboon and Cape vervet monkey. The road now plunges into thicker bush, and suddenly, after clearing a small dip, the stone entrance gates of the rest camp at Dihel appear directly ahead. A small dun-coloured traditional farmhouse is located right next to the road, which is one of several cottages in the kloof which have been carefully restored. This marks the end of the pass at the 4.7 kilometer point.